Good morning, everyone. This is Dan with Senior Ministry E-Bike Nation. We're going to be doing a small 20-mile ride today. I'm going to be talking about the aerial rider, Rideal, that I'm going to take today. It's my other e-bike, so I'll show you a couple pictures of the bike here, and then we'll go over a few things at my halfway point about the bike. So let's give it a go. This is the aerial rider Rideal. They don't make this bike anymore. They actually replaced it with a bike called the Aerial Rider Kepler, which is a fat tire bike instead of a smaller tire bike. But they also went up $500 on the bike too. So this bike retailed brand new for less than 2 years ago for $1,000, and I got this on Facebook Marketplace. So just wanted to show you the bike here, and then we're going to be heading up to the food blessing box, drop a few things off, and then we'll do a little 20-mile ride. We'll see you on the trail. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan with Senior Ministry E-Bike Nation. We're going to do a 20-mile ride today. As I mentioned, we got to stop off at the bike blessing box so we can put some food into it. It was pretty empty when I was out there yesterday, so I'm hoping you can see my phone here, where you can see the wattage and the percentage of my battery and everything. I had a bad angle yesterday. I actually filmed yesterday, but it didn't come out very well, so I had to redo it. So anyway, let's give it a go. Right now I'm riding in pedal assist 3. I'll probably bump it up to 4 here after about 2.5 miles. And I'm only doing a 20-miler today. We're going to just use 1 battery instead of 2. So I'm thinking we'll have between 30 to 35% battery left time we get back. After 20 miles, that seems to be the average. It seems to be a little warmer today than it was yesterday. So I'm hoping that's going to make a little bit of difference on this battery. As I mentioned, this bike is a aerial rider Rideal. It is a 26-inch bike, and it's got a 750 watt rear hub motor on it. It's got 5 pedal assist, which is actually I can either do from my phone to change it, or I can do it from my egg rider, which is here. This is the old controller here, or the battery bar, shall I say. It'll show you where you're at on your percentage or your battery, but it doesn't have percentages, and it doesn't have wattage used. So I like the analytics a little more on the phone that it shows me with this device called an egg rider, which I got that down in the description box where you can purchase that. And then I'll try to put the cost on there, what I paid for it, as soon as I look that up. But again, it's also got a 6-speed Shimano shifter up here, and I've got I actually replaced out the mechanical brakes on this bike to hydraulic brakes, and it's made a big difference as far as my braking. And then I purchased these handles on here, extensions, so it makes my ride a lot more comfortable. So I've got a couple positions now I can put my hands, and I really like that. But typically here in Ohio, we actually have some of the best bike trails in the nation here. Lots of traffic out here this morning. Now, as you'll notice through my ride, there are certain stop signs that I do not stop at. They've got them in some really remote side streets up on the trail that don't really need to stop at those stop signs. So yeah, it's breaking the law. You really shouldn't be driving, even on a bike, on these bike trails, and disregarding stop signs, because you're supposed to operate a e-bike just like you do a vehicle or a motorbike. So that's some of the stuff that you need to pay attention to. Of course, you always got to look for all your surroundings around you at all times. It's just not a world that's very safe anymore, so I carry self-defense on the trail. But even if you carry like bear spray or wasp freeze or anything that you can just readily get to fend somebody off that's attacking you, I highly recommend you carry that. I found out a can of wasp freeze is very effective because it'll shoot about 20 feet. And if you hit somebody in the eyes with that, they're not going to bother you. That stuff pretty much blind you. I know, because I was in the pest control industry 40 years, and I was owned my own company for like 23 years. And I can tell you that stuff will burn in your eyes. I've had it in my eyes before. Here's one of these stop signs. We're going to definitely slow down because it can be a fairly busy intersection, but nobody's coming through, so I'm slow down and go on through the intersection. But this was my first e-bike. I bought a year ago, I think August. So I've had it about 15 months, something like that now. And like I said, I put on 2,600 miles on this bike in a year. I had to put new tires on it because the tires went bald, and that's when I also changed out the mechanical brakes and put hydraulic brakes on this bike. And I also put all that stuff down in the description box that is standard on the bike, and then I'll also give you a link to Aerial Rider's website. And I'll put a link in the description box of all the things that I purchased for the bike. So if you got any questions or comments, put them down in the comment section. Right now, I'm up to about 800 subscribers now. My channel's about to get monetized. It's not really why I do this. I don't do it for the monetization of the channel. It's organically growing. Less than 3 months, I've got over about 800 subscribers. I got one video, for some reason it's got like 75,000 views on it, and it's not much different than any other video I've done riding these e-bikes. But I'm real happy with that, and that really spiked my numbers on views and subscribers and likes, and it's also I increased a lot of negative comments on my channel. I mean, a lady commented the other day because I was ranting about this administration and the gas prices and all that. She said I need to stick to my content. And you know what? She's right. I should not be talking about political theater. I am a conservative, and I'll leave it at that. But this channel is primarily designed for seniors and people with disabilities that can still ride a bike because of the pedal assist and Of course, it's got a half throttle here on the right side. You can see that. I've got pointed with my hand here. This little red button turns off your motor. But the way this motor works, as soon as you hit the brakes or stop pedaling, the motor shuts off. And that's on every e-bike. That's from a safety standpoint, and that's the way it works. Now again, I'll bump it up to pedal assist 4 here in a minute. Once I turn this to a different trail, I'll be getting on a different trail up here. And as you can see, another intersection, you got to be careful. There'll be a lot of people can come through here. So this one I do stop at. I primarily ride on trails only. I think on this, if I do a 20-mile bike ride or a 30-mile bike ride, I've only got 0.8 tenths that I'm actually on the road. Everything else is on the bike trail. So that makes it really nice. And we're getting ready to come up on a hill up here. It's the only hill on the entire trail. On the 15 or 30 miles I do anyway. We're going to bump it up to pedal assist 4. On your left. As you can see, I'm increasing on speed riding up the hill. I don't even have to use the half twist throttle because I'm easily climbing this hill. So that is the advantage of having an e-bike versus a regular bike. Now, I'm not against regular bikes. I get a lot of comments on my channel that, you know, we're cheating, and one guy commented he'd rather walk than ride a bike. Well, that's his prerogative. So you get those kind of people on your channel that don't subscribe anyway. So if I don't like the comment and I think it's derogatory, I think it's not good for the channel, I'll delete it. This channel, again, is about educating people about riding an e-bike. And the more people I can educate, the more people buy e-bikes. Now, as I mentioned on my previous videos, I am not a sponsor for either Aerial Rider or Rusher, which is my orange fat tire bike. I purchased both of those bikes, so I think I'm doing honest reviews. Now, if Rusher, Aerial Rider, or any other bike manufacturer wants to send me bikes to review, I'd be more than happy to partner with them. A lot of the channels that they partner with are younger guys in their 20s and their 30s, and they have those guys test their bikes for them, and they give them to them for free. I've seen videos, guys got 10 to 15 bikes in their garage or storage that they never even paid for one of them. So they just sell them when they're done with them. But you know, I can attest that I had one video that had almost 76,000 views, that I'm going to reach out to a lot of people. And I had a lot of comments on my channel, people that bought this bike. Not this one, but the Rusher Komodo, the 20-inch fat tire bike. Based on my recommendations and my videos that I did, I've got like 38 of them on the orange bike, the Rusher, promoting that brand. And I've contacted Rusher, and I haven't heard back from them, but I'm trying to become a partner with them. So if they'll send me some bikes, I'll be more than happy to review 3 to 4 times a week on that bike. But I'm not just going to go out and purchase bikes willy-nilly to promote the channel. I'm not going to do that. Most e-bikes are pretty much the same. Some are faster, some are slower, some are just got different features on them. This bike here came with a basket. As you can see, my food pantry stuff's in a little bag up here. It's in my basket, which is really nice. That comes standard on the bike. And of course, I purchased bar end mirrors for the bike. I'll have that all down in the description box. I purchased a Bluetooth radio here that I can listen to podcasts or music. On your left. Not as wet out here as today. It was kind of misty yesterday. It was damp. Time I got back, my jeans were soaked, and then my shoes were really wet, including my socks. But I do not have fenders on this bike. I left it standard, like the way it was sent to the person that I bought it from. And the guy that I bought it from only had it about a month, and there was nothing wrong with it, so I asked him why he was selling it. He said he wanted a faster bike because he takes his bike to work every day. So from where he lived to where he works on the base was probably 10 to 15 miles, maybe 10 miles. So that's 20 miles round trip. But he wanted a faster bike, so he sold this one to me for $750, and it was pretty much brand new. Now, I did purchase an additional battery for this bike, and it's in my bag in the back. But this bike here, now I've got a cover on my battery. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a cover on my battery, especially for the winter time. It keeps it a little bit warmer, and I certainly don't want to get any moisture down in those contacts. Now, they say they're water resistant, but they're certainly not waterproof. And I'm gonna finish this video when I get back. And I've already got it linked on my channel. About the battery degradation and things you can do to protect your battery, and some facts about the battery. We'll go over all that when I get back. Now, the battery on this one seems to be a lot quieter than my other one, my orange bike. I don't know if it's the way it's designed or what, but it's quieter than my other one. Of course, I've got fat tires on that other bike, and that's going to make a difference with them fat tires alone. Okay, we're coming up here on the food pantry box. So we're going to be putting a few things in here, and yesterday it was pretty much empty. And today it's got a few more items, people coming up here, putting more things in it. So let me get off my bike here. Okay, today we're going to be putting in some Great Northern beans, some stewed tomatoes, and I've got a couple other things I'm going to put in here. Somebody's bought a few more things up here, which is really nice. Things I put in here yesterday are gone now, so. We're going to put some Vienna sausages in here. And then this is some coffee that I purchased that I don't care about a whole lot. And so if somebody's got a Keurig coffee pot at home, which I'm sure they do, I give them a couple cups of coffee there anyway. But as you can see, we got quite a few things in here. Pancake mix and some pudding cups and some canned goods, and still got one thing of ramen noodles. That'll disappear pretty quick. And somebody put bags in here, which I think is nice, so people can take what they want if they didn't bring a bag with them. But I've seen this thing completely full, and I've seen it completely empty on any given day. So this is something that I'm very passionate about doing. It's called the Little Free Pantry. Take what you need, donate what you can. And as you notice, this pantry box is put on where a parking lot is. So, you know, most people don't ride e-bikes, so they need to not have to walk a long distance to get it. So I'm also in contact with the city of Dayton here in Ohio that has not contacted me back yet. I've done a couple messages I've left with them. I don't know what their problem is, but I want to build some of these boxes downtown area where what we call Riverscape, and that's where everybody hangs out for different things, and a lot of homeless people hang out down there too. So I want to put some of these boxes downtown, but I cannot get them to contact me back. This is a ministry that is partnering with my church. So anybody wants to make a donation to this, I don't care if it's $5, whatever, but it'll go to good use. I'll put a link to my church if you want to make a donation to it, and then I will, you know, whatever you donate is going to go right back into this pantry box. So again, I just wanted to show you this, and now we're going to finish up another, probably 5 miles anyway. Try to get 20 miles in today. Get back on my bike here. This bike, I got to really lean over to get back on it. Because it's a bar over, I got to reach over, and I got to really bend this bike over to get on it. That is where the step-through bike on my Cyrusher Komoda is really a lot easier for older people with disabilities to get off and on the bike. I mean, it's only 12 inches from the ground surface to the step-through area on the bike to get over it. But if you got any comments, put it down in the comment section about if you own an e-bike and what you ride and what you like about it, what you don't like about it. This is a community channel, obviously, you know. It don't have to be just seniors. It could be somebody in their 30s or 40s if they own an e-bike. I would really like to see what you own. And if there's any questions on this bike or my ministry that you have, put it down in the comment section. Of course, like my video, share it. Please subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I've got almost 800 subscribers now, and you need 1,000. So I think on that one video that I put out, it's got 75,000 views on it. I got over 500 and some subscribers on one video. So I want to thank you, all the subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. I want to thank you. And I also thank all the people that like my videos, even if they don't subscribe. I thank you for watching. Another one of those ones you got to really stop at. Of course, the gentleman stopped and waited for me to come across. That was nice. Like I said, we're probably going to ride another 5 miles up the trail here, and then we'll turn around. I'll stop and eat a sandwich when I get up there and a banana, and then I'll turn around and do the other 10 miles back. In the summertime, I'll typically try to get 120 miles a weekend on both my bikes. I try to ride 4 days a week, 30 miles on each ride. But I'm gonna do 20 today. I've got some running to do this afternoon. So, but I am gonna do the battery degradation. I'll go over some points on it when we get back. On your left. And you know, you have to learn trail etiquette as well. Now, in Ohio, and this is probably the same in most states in the country, you're only supposed to do 20 mile an hour on these bike trails. As you can see, I'm doing about 18 and a half now. Now, my orange bike will get up to probably 26, 27 miles an hour. I don't ride at that speed very much, only when there's nobody on the trail. But you're only supposed to do 20 mile an hour. Now, as I mentioned, this little egg rider that I put on, that plugs into your controller. And this bike had a 20 mile per hour restriction on it. So when I formatted the egg rider into my controller, and you do that by your phone, all the instructions are there, it increased this speed on this bike to about 22 to 23 mile an hour. Now that's with a fully charged battery. You got to remember, the more you ride and the more you degrade that battery, you're not going to get the response to the battery that you normally would on a full charge. Right now I'm down to about 87% on my battery, and I've come about 6 miles, 6.5. So with the chillier weather, the battery degradation is about normal. But there are so many e-bike manufacturers out there, and believe it or not, 98 to 99% of them are in China, which you probably already knew that. About 99.5% of all batteries are manufactured in China for these bikes. So my point is, why don't we have somebody in this country building manufacturing plants for e-bike batteries, e-bikes themselves? Now there are a couple manufacturers here in the United States, but they're really on the high-end bikes. On your left, so my thought is, why don't we get a lot of investors together to build e-bike manufacturing facilities for e-bikes and batteries? You know, there are several battery companies out there, and again, they're all made in China, and you don't know really what you're getting. I think sometimes the cheaper price you pay for a battery, you got what you paid for. Because most e-bike batteries, if they're a really good battery, and I'm talking Samsung, Panasonic, LG, these batteries have got a bunch of little batteries that are welded, that are soldered together inside, and that's what makes it. So you want to make sure that you have a well-known battery in there as far as companies that's producing these batteries. Because like I mentioned, you're supposed to get about 1,000 charges on an e-bike battery before you have to buy a new one. And I've seen a couple studies where e-bike batteries only last up to 3 years, and I disagree with that. If you do the care and maintenance on your battery, which I'll explain when we get done here, your battery should last you a long time. But why don't we have manufacturing facilities here in the country? I know there's a lot of regulations, especially when you've got this administration in there, and that's all I'll say about that. There are so many regulations that you can do and what you can't do, that it makes it difficult for somebody to launch a facility to build e-bikes, or a battery manufacturer for the e-bikes. Now most e-bike batteries, a good one's going to run you between 300, I'm talking better quality batteries, it's going to run you between $300 and $700. Some a little higher, believe it or not. I think I paid $300 and some for my additional battery. It's not on the bike right now, but it's in my bag. And it's performing just as well as the battery that is on the bike made by Aerial Rider, or whoever they purchase their batteries from. On your left. Might see a deer here, don't know for sure, but see a lot of them on the trail. Of course, typically it's when I'm not taping, that's when I see the deer. But I see them quite often on this trail. This is a great trail. It's an old rail trail. And of course, when they have had railroads coming through here, they want a flattest surface as they can have. So that's why you see a lot of these trails are very flat. Now, a lot more bike trails are being done in the United States. We're far behind Europe and some other European countries on bike trails, on bike lanes that you see. A lot more cities now, and our city's doing it as well. Downtown especially, you'll have bike lanes almost on every street now. So a lot of people, that's how they commute to work, is on their e-bike. You got to think about it. No insurance, no gas, no registration, and no licensing of the e-bike. That's a huge benefit. Now, speaking of taking your e-bike to a store, and here's another thing we don't have in the US that a lot of countries do. They have areas in front of stores that are primarily for bikes where you can lock them down. I recommend that you do lock your bike down. I've also got an alarm on both of my bikes sitting under the bike on the frame, and I'll have a link to that in my description box as well. And you carry the remote with you in your pocket, so that's really nice where when you go into a store you can set the alarm on that bike. And the sensitivity on, once you set it, if you just touch that handlebar and move that handlebar a little bit, it's going to give you a warning beep. And then if you try to move that bike, it's going to go off like a car alarm. It's loud. Again, is it going to stop somebody from stealing it if they want your bike? No. But they're going to sure think twice before they do it. Now, a lot of people is going to steal a bike in the middle of the daytime with people going in and out of a store. Now, I've seen it done. I've seen it on videos. Guys carry these little portable welders. I'm sorry, not portable welders. Metal cutters. And they're portable battery operated where they can cut right through a chain or if they want to. But typically that's going to be something that's not going to happen if you're only in and out of a store at a short period of time, pick up a couple things. So that's where the e-bike is very advantageous to go to a store or something. But again, a lot more stores need to make the front of these stores, like handicap areas, are e-bike accessible to where people can lock their bikes down. So I recommend you get an alarm for your bike and get a chain of some kind to make it harder for somebody to think about stealing that bike. On your left. Okay, we've come almost 9 miles now. 8 miles, 8.5, and we're down to about 80% on the battery, so that's pretty good. I could have went straight through that detour, but it's kind of bumpy and they got those signs kind of right in the way, so I'll take a little bit of detour here and get back up on the trail once I get up here. But I even mentioned etiquette on the trail. There are a couple things that are important to remember. That when you're passing somebody, either you put like a bell on your bike, which I have here, which I never used that. I always was holler on your left or on your right, depending on which way they're walking. And you've got to really watch little kids, because when you holler on your left, they automatically want to run left. You got to be real careful not to hit some little kid. So that's the first thing they want to do, is go left. So be careful and be very cautious when you're around other people, and give them, especially walkers, give them the courtesy. Just because you can ride your bike 18 to 20 miles an hour don't mean you're just going to be not courteous to that person. Yeah, finishing up some construction here. It's been about 4 months now. But we'll get back up on the trail here in a minute. Yeah, we'll just cross over here, and the actual detour wants you to take you another 2 miles out of the way on this trail, and I'm not going to do that. So I just kind of hop right back on it right there. And they're getting pretty close to opening this thing up, I think. But we got about another mile we're going to do here. And we'll talk about a couple of things about the bike and some of the things I purchased. And then when I get back, we're going to do a second video on bike battery degradation, and I'll point out some facts about that. So I've already got that on my website, or my channel, I'm sorry. But I'll be discussing those facts once I get back, and then I'll attach it to this video here. There's another blessing box there on the left, and that is actually a book blessing box. So that's kind of cool. So people get done with books, they exchange them for something they haven't read, and that's really neat. People do that. Not seeing many people on the trail today. Some few walkers, a couple bikes, about average for a weekday. Be the last intersection we'll have to cross through. This one's quite busy all the time too, so this one I will stop at. But as far as these trails go in Ohio, you can go anywhere in Ohio on these bike trails. They got connectors everywhere. So that makes it really nice that you don't have to get on the road very much at all if you're going to want to ride your bike in Ohio. It's got so many different connectors on the bike trails that it really makes it nice for people that want to ride a regular bike or an e-bike or walk or whatever they want to do. There's quite a few cars that I'm not normally used to. But it is the Christmas season, so I'm sure there's people out shopping. Coming up here a little bit, my watch, got an Apple Watch, it'll announce that I've been 10 miles. It'll be right on up here. The bike computer is just a little bit behind. It's showing 9.3 and my watch is showing 9.77, so that's not bad on a 10-mile distance. It's only about 4/10 off. from the GPS on my phone to my GPS on my watch. But this is a very quiet trail for the most part. We'll be crossing a river up here where I'll be turning around up there. But again, you'll see a lot of deer running across the trail. I see rabbits and squirrels all summer long, obviously, darting out in front of you. But
10 miles. Average speed, 16.8 miles per hour.
But for the most part, the Parks Department really takes care of these trails. As you noticed on a couple areas where there's roots and stuff that's brought the asphalt up a little bit, they'll mark them and highlight them for people and on their bikes. And they do a really good job of mowing on both sides of the trail and keeping all the debris and everything off the trail. They got great big blowers come by in the fall with trucks pulling them that blows these trails clear from leaves and debris, and that makes it real nice. They don't do too much in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground though. Ride at your own risk, I guess. But I'm looking forward to riding in the snow this year. I'm not going to ride in the ice, but if there's snow on the trail, I'm going to get my fat tire bike out. It's got them wide 4-inch tires on it, and I'm going to have fun riding my bike. Makes you feel like a kid again. I'm 71 now, so I stay very active. I do have both knees need replaced. I've got bone on bone in both of them. But I also know that riding this e-bike has made a huge difference in my ability to avoid surgery on both of my knees. It's building muscle around my knees. And so I'm a proponent of that. Now, as I mentioned before, I even put it on my channel, if you're going to take on an exercise regimen like this, make sure that you check with your doctor first. I would never recommend somebody getting on one of these things that have no business being on one with balance issues and health issues. I'm not a doctor, so I recommend you see a physician before you decide to do this. Okay, we're going to be pulling up here, getting off the bike here as soon as I pass this bridge here. That's going to be our 10-mile marker. My bike computer says 10.2 and my watch is probably 10.6. So this is where we'll be turning around here. And I'll get off the bike here and then get it over on the wood deck here a little bit. So yeah, this is, again, this e-bike is called the Aerial Rider Rideal. As you can see, my battery cover that goes over the battery. That makes it really nice, and as you can see, we have come a little about 10 miles and used about 37% of the battery. This will start out about 55.5 on the voltage, and then once it gets down to pretty much drain your battery, that'll get down to about 39% in the volts. So that's very important to know, that just because it says 39 doesn't mean you got another how many miles to be able to ride on your bike. Because if you'll notice, once you get down to about 30%, it's a little more difficult for that battery to pick up as far as your throttle goes, or your pedaling is going to become a little more difficult. This says I've got a range of about 15 more miles to ride. I would agree with that. If I ride in my pedal assist 3 or 4, if I go down to pedal assist 1 and 2, as it shows here, and I'll show you how this goes, down to 3 and down to 2, down to 1, and down, of course, off. Once you get down to 1 and 2, that those pedals are going to be becoming a lot more difficult to turn that bike, because it's telling the controller to tell the actual motor that you're at them lower speeds. And as I mentioned, once you stop pedaling, this controller down here will shut this bike off as far as it using the motor in the back. Now, again, a couple things that I did purchase for this bike. I've got the hydraulic disc brakes that I put on this. Down here, you can see those. And then I've also purchased this egg rider. This is what that you plug in to go down to this controller. And that's the brain of your actual bike, is right there. So that allows me to see everything on my phone, which is, I really like that. And again, it's got a 6-speed Shimano shifter. And then, of course, I put on these handles. They just screw right onto the end of the handlebar. And then I put this bar, they call it a bar end mirror. That's the best place for me to see what's behind me. And then again, the Bluetooth radio, I might have already mentioned that. I bought an additional bag that fits really nice right up under the bike. And then I have the seat here. I changed my seat out on this bike. The other one I did not. This is called a Bikeroo seat. Very comfortable. Somebody recommended me on Bike Channel about that seat, so I went ahead and purchased that. And just a few things that I carry in addition. I carry a can of Fix-A-Flat. It's for bicycles. I only will use that in an extreme emergency. That if a rear tire goes flat on you, that's where you're going to want to use that. And if it's not a very big hole, it will seal it. And then I purchased this bag in addition. And then these panniers, I purchased them in addition. And I had to purchase this rack also for all this to sit on. But I purchased this extra battery. I'm not going to change it out today. I don't need to. But this is the extra battery for the bike. And then I've also got a battery operated rechargeable air pump. So, and I carry some rain gear with me. But these are just some of the extra things that I carry. And I carry a tire gauge with me. And I carry a patch kit. And I also carry extra inner tubes in my panniers down here. So those are some of the things that I purchased for the bike. And again, I'll have that all linked down in the description box. But this bike, right off the manufacturer's store, it's been a great bike. I have no complaints about this bike. I did have a flat tire in the back. I had to take it to the bike shop when I first bought it. I had a pinch in it somehow, and they put in better high quality inner tubes in my bike that are not puncture proof, but they're highly puncture resistant. So I had those tubes put in my bike as well. So anyway, if you got any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments section. Oh, I forgot about my little cup holder, which I forgot to bring my coffee today. How about that? Normally I always carry coffee with me, but today I left it, made the cup of coffee and left it at home. So anyway, that's a little bit about the bike. And again, tell me what you own. Tell me what you like and don't like about your bike. Tell me what you think about the food pantry box that I fill. I know there's other people that are doing other things with their church or have ministries, because I've got several comments on my channel about what they do, and I think that's really neat to see that. So anyway, we're going to stop the video right here, and then I will pick it back up when I get back, and we'll talk about the battery degradation. So I will see you at the end. A couple of other things that I wanted to mention to you about a bike, that a lot of cities have e-bikes that you can test ride. So before you make your purchase, after you've done your research, you might want to try to find one of those bike stores that have the bike that you want to test ride, and that'll really give you a clear conscience on what you really want. Because there's so many different factors on e-bikes as far as speed, distance you can go on particular bikes with batteries. Both of my bikes have 48 volt, 14 amp hour batteries. They have 52 volt batteries with higher amp hours. Some of them's got 20 amp hours, which means you're going to get a lot more distance out of those batteries, and they're actually they're stronger batteries, shall we say. So I highly encourage that you do that so you can really make an informed decision on what you want to buy, because they're not cheap. I mean, most e-bikes can start from $1,000. That's your low end, and then go up to $5,000 depending on what you're looking for. I personally think a bike between $1,000 to $1,600 to $1,700 is a really good bike. Now my orange bike, which is the Rusher, I paid $21.99 for that bike less than 5 months ago, and they've already got them down to $19.99. I noticed just before Black Friday, and they probably still got the same price on those bikes. So the cost of the e-bikes are coming down. The more competition there is in this, the better the price you're going to get. But again, it's like anything else you purchase. You can buy cheap, you're going to get cheap. You really do get what you pay for. But I just wanted to bring that up to let you know there's so many different videos out there. I probably have the only one that really promotes the Rusher brand, or the Aerial Rider brand for that matter. And I'm not a paid sponsor by either one of those companies. I just like educating seniors and people that want to ride e-bikes as they get older. So keep that in mind, that you can get out and test these things. When you first get on them, it's a little bit intimidating, actually. But you never forget how to ride a bike. Let me put it that way. If you rode a bike as a kid, you can ride an e-bike, if your health allows you to do that. So don't think you're too old, you don't want to hurt yourself on them. Have confidence in what you're doing. Educate yourself about the bike, listen to other people, watch videos on that bike. That way you can make an informed decision. I think somebody like myself that promotes these bikes, we don't have anything in the game other than helping others learn how to ride an e-bike and share facts about them. Where again, as I mentioned earlier, these paid sponsors, that's all they do. They may do one review on that bike and they'll keep it and then they'll sell it. I see it all the time on YouTube. If I get sent any bikes from some manufacturers, I'm going to review them several times. I want people to know what they're purchasing. So I believe they're more of an honest review. So if you got any comments, put it down in the comment section. Let me know if you ride all winter long or where you live that allows you to ride. I've had people that left me comments up in upper part of Michigan and Alaska and New Zealand, Australia. I've had comments from all over the world now, where they ride and what they're riding. And of course, when they tell me the euros that they paid for the bike, I've got to convert that into dollars. So it's pretty close. Euros and dollars, I think, are not too far off from each other. But as far as e-bikes and like I said, the European nations and Chinese, the Japanese, they've been riding these things for a long time because they don't have an area and an infrastructure for a lot of cars because there's just not enough land mass. So as you see on a lot of videos, they're riding e-bikes for DoorDash deliveries or food deliveries. You could easily do DoorDash deliveries on one of these things. Anyway, I gotta stop my bike and restart this computer. I see it dropped its GPS there for some reason. That happens occasionally, so I'm gonna have to shut this off and reset it. Sometimes this happens. I'll turn it back on here. Then I'll have to reset the computer. Here we go. Now it's back where it's supposed to be. I notice when I go down to about 2.7 mile an hour or 3 mile an hour that the bike actually think I'm in walking mode. Because say you have to walk your bike home with a flat tire or whatever. Most bikes have what they call walking mode, to where the bike will only do 2.5 to 3 mile an hour as you're walking, so you don't have to push that thing all the way home. And another good thing about a rear hub motor that I have on both of my bikes, and I did a lot of research on this for this reason. With the rear hub motor, if you break a chain as you're riding along, you can still get home with the throttle. Now, if you have a mid-drive motor, which is down below the pedals, you can't do that. So keep that in mind when you go to purchase a bike. They do have front wheel hub motors. I don't like them as well as I do the rear hub motors. But the only disadvantage is to change a flat tire on a rear hub motor. It's going to be a little more difficult for you with that hub motor to change a flat tire. And that is why I carry the Fix-A-Flat with me. Now on my side rusher, I put in what they call Tannis liners, which I put in the description box on that bike. They're actually liners they put inside the around the inner tubes, between the tire and the inner tube, that's made out of Kevlar, the material of the liner. And they have high reviews online. Now, a lot of people want me to put flat out or slime inside too. I can do that as a addition to the Tannis liners. I haven't done that yet. I haven't seen enough data out there with the Tannis liners that you're going to get a flat. Now, where the flat out product or slime comes in handy, if you run over a machine screw or something, it's probably going to seal that hole. But hopefully the Tannis liners will stop it from penetrating to begin with. But you can breach these Tannis liners. If you got a big enough machine screw or roofing nail, you're going to probably go through that Tannis liner. And that's where the slime and the flat out comes into play. So yeah, there's some benefit to that. Basically, all you have to do if you're going to put in flat out and slime, you actually have to take the core stem completely out before you put the product in. And there's a little tool that you can buy that actually takes the stem out. Very cheap online, maybe $6-7. And I can put that in the description box as well if you want me to. And that way you just screw that slime or flat out on the inner tube without the core in there, and you just put the allotted amount that they say on the bottle for that tire. And that's pretty much going to give you a puncture-proof tire. So guys, highly recommend that. In addition to the Tannis liners, I have not done that yet, but I may. Flat tires is by far the biggest thing you're going to deal with riding a bike, as you know. But again, the parks departments here really does a good job on these trails, keeping them clear. But if you're riding out on the road, you can hit glass, of course, and you're going to hit screws and nails and stuff, or construction vehicles may drop off their vehicle. So the hazards on the road are going to increase 50% riding on a bike or riding on a road than it will on a bike trail. So keep that in mind too once you purchase your bike, and how to protect those tires from getting punctures in them. Now, front tires are not too hard to, especially on this one. It's got a quick connect on the tire that you can get the tire off in less than probably 30 seconds. Then, as I mentioned, you want to carry a repair kit with you for an inner tube. You want to carry an extra inner tube with you. I also carry what they call CO2 cartridges, made for filling up bike tires. You just screw it on the stem and fill your tire up at hole or whatever. And then again, like I said, I carry the Fix-A-Flat for bicycles. It does a really good job on filling that tire, and like if you run over a thorn or something like that, it's going to seal that on your tire. Now, I recommend that you highly inspect that tire once you get back to your home or wherever, to make sure there's still not a thorn stuck in there. Sometimes you'll run over thorns and stuff where they'll actually just penetrate the tire, but they won't stay in the tire. So finding that leak can be very difficult sometimes. You almost got to take the inner tube out of the tire and blow it up. And that's where that battery operated air pump I have is really beneficial. It's rechargeable, where you can inspect that tube a lot easier to listen to the air coming out of it. And sometimes you can carry a little squirt bottle of real small one with soap and water mixed together, like Dawn or one of those, and you can spray that on the inner tube itself, and if it starts bubbling up, you're going to see where that hole is that needs to be sealed. And that's where the benefit of the patch kit comes in. A lot of patch kits now have kind of adhesive patches where you don't have to actually scrape the tube down and rough it up and then put the tube patch kit on it. They have different things out there that are really helpful, to where you can just fix a flat pretty quick, where you're not stranded somewhere. I've been stranded before. I had a tire, like I said, a flat tire on this bike when I first got it, and I wasn't properly equipped to take that tire off that back hub motor, and I had to educate myself a little bit about that, how to do that, and had to have a buddy. I walked the bike probably a mile and had a buddy and put the bike back in his truck so I could get it to the bike shop. So always carry your cell phone when you're out. That's very important. Never know when you're going to get stranded. And I tell people that are going to ride on a regular basis, tell your spouse or whoever you're with that where you're going, how long you're going to be gone, and when you left. That's very important. I carry a first aid kit in my panniers, where bandages, gauze, wraps. I carry all that with me on the bike. And the difference on these e-bikes, that a little additional weight is not going to make a big difference at all on the degradation of the battery. A little, but not much. So I carry pretty much everything except the kitchen sink, I think, in my bike bags. A lot of people think that's overkill. I don't. You get up in the years, you're going to be glad you have that stuff with you. Like I say, I carry rain gear with me, because occasionally you'll get caught out in a quick thunderstorm. You're going to need it. I don't know if you can see it, my battery's down to about 34%, and I got about 2 miles to go to get my 20-mile marker. So it's probably used another 15% of the battery than it normally would in warmer weather. 10 to 15% is probably what it's going to be. So I expect it to probably be 28-29% time I get back. But I'll stop the footage here once I get up to an intersection, because from security and safety standpoints, I don't want anybody to know where I live. They know the general area.
Average speed, 16.3 miles per hour.
But I don't want somebody to be able to follow my bike back where I live. That's just from a security standpoint. People call it paranoid, call it what you want. But that's what I do. So that's why you're not seeing the 0.8 of a 15 or 30 mile ride. You're not seeing that part because I'm not taping that part once I come off the bike trail. Somebody pointed out something on this sign here on the left that I never noticed before. Somebody had spray painted something kind of naughty on there, and he made me aware of that, and I said, I've never noticed that when I've been taping. So that was our last major intersection we had to deal with. Yeah, but there's a lot of neat things in riding these e-bikes. You know, as I mentioned, people think you're cheating and you're not really getting exercise. What I can tell you on my watch, I can track my ride and I can track how many calories I'm burning. And that's all tied into your heart rate and all that. And your pulse and all that on your wrist. Where on a 30-mile ride, I can typically burn between 1,100 to 1,500 calories. So on a 20-mile ride, I'll probably get about 800 to 900 calories burned. And that's quite a bit for an hour's worth of exercise, or an hour and a half. So yeah, every time you're turning these pedals, you're exercising. It's no different than sitting in a stationary bike at your house. Of course, to me, that's very boring and monotonous. At least I'm out in nature doing this and enjoying the scenery. So, for those people who say you're not getting exercise, you most certainly are. Ask anybody that owns an e-bike and they'll tell you. Where it really helps is when you got to climb hills. You can either go up in the pedal assist, or you can use your throttle if it's got one on it, and you can climb that hill pretty easily. That's where it really helps for seniors. But we're coming up here on the area that I'm going to stop the video here. About less than a mile from home now, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said, as soon as I get it set up, when I get back, we're going to go over battery degradation and some facts about that. And I think that's pretty important. I've had a lot of comments. People are looking forward to seeing that video. So we're going to do that here in just a few minutes. So I will see you on the battery degradation.